and then
Okay.
now you're basically one click away and then you're online. That's it. That's how easy it is. So Nudrat, thank you very much for coming in.
My pleasure.
And it'll be your experience, obviously it's going to be interesting to hear. So, but what we'll do is let's start with getting to know Nudrat, and then we'll go into the jams part. So please.
Okay. So what about Nudrat?
Everything, whatever.
Okay. So my basic education is from Pakistan. So I did my LLB from Pakistan. Then for my master's, I went to London School of Economics. And then in 2015, that is when I had been working for about 17 years at that point, I went to Washington, DC on a Fulbright, and I did my doctorate in juridical sciences, SJD. That's a 5-year program. That was in international comparative law and investment arbitrations. And after that, I came back to Pakistan. So I've been in Pakistan for just over a year now. So in all these years, I've been practicing predominantly in arbitrations. So I've done ICSID, ICC, SIAC, ad hoc arbitrations, DFICL, CIA. And I think I am the only person in Pakistan who qualified as a solicitor advocate that is in Pakistan. Many of them might be settled abroad, but in Pakistan, I know of just myself, who's a solicitor advocate with a practicing certificate. Then I am the first woman from Pakistan to be a doctorate of juridical sciences, and I am the only person having a doctorate in investment arbitrations in particular. And I was in about 2000, I think it was 2018, I was appointed on the panel of, it's a center called International Center for Settlement of Investment Disputes. I was nominated by Pakistan as one of, on the panel of arbitrators, and I got appointed on the annulment committee. I was again the second Pakistani to be appointed on that committee. And of course, the first woman to be appointed on that committee from Pakistan. So I have a lot of firsts that I've done. Then I got extensive trainings in ADR. I mean, at Harvard, went to the Kennedy School for courses, UC Hastings, I went to Harvard, did courses at Cornell. So it's been a learning process. I mean, all these about 20 years now, it's been a learning process for me. So now, since I'm back in Pakistan, what I have done is I've set up a law firm. So this is the first global law firm in Pakistan, collaborating with Anderson Global. Anderson Global is in, I think, about 260 locations now, and about 169 countries. That's one project. The second project that I've set up is a center. It's called the International Center for Appropriate Dispute Resolution and Prevention. So I'm in the process of setting that up, framing the rules, getting people on the panels. So that's my second major project. Then I am teaching in different places. I'm serving on, there's a Prime Minister's committee to advise on the international investment regime in Pakistan. I'm on that committee of 12 people. Then I'm on the committee of 8 people, advising the PM on international law. And I can go on.
You must go on. You must go on.
Yeah, but those are the major projects that I'm working on.
My God, that's what we needed. I mean, amazing. I mean, I'm just thinking in all this, where did the fellowship fit in? Where did you get time for all that? I'm trying to figure that out.
Yes, actually, it was when I was doing my SJD. The problem was in Pakistan, I was working on international investment arbitrations. And the smallest brief would be 250 pages. And of course, that memo would cover the facts, the law, and the quantum. When I got to DC, the SAD, I was told I have to focus just on the law. And it's the minimum requirement was 150 pages. And I had about 5 years to do it. I didn't know what to do with myself. So I ended up, taking up all these, the summer program at Oxford, all these trainings at Harvard and different places. And in those days, I was attending, it was an ITA conference, the International Transnational Arbitrations, it's a center. And I was attending one of their seminars in Texas. I asked a question, and this lady from JAMS, she approached me and she said, I am amazed at the questions that you ask. You mind if we have lunch together? So I ended up having lunch with her, and she is the one who encouraged me. She said, why don't you apply for the JAMS scholarship? I'm sure you have no problem getting into the program. And while I was doing my SCD, one of the reasons I was doing my SCD was I'm quite passionate about revolutionizing the legal system in Pakistan. So even at that time, I was trying to study the investment arbitrations, how are they basically beneficial for Pakistan or states like Pakistan. So I was looking at different kinds of designs and what is or is not good for Pakistan. So that's what I think motivated me to learn more about other systems, including mediations, conciliation, negotiations, and all the other forms of ADR. So while exploring that, I took up a course at Harvard, which was a 5-day course relating to mediations. And when I met Kathleen at this conference, I thought it might be useful when considering different kinds of designs and what is best for Pakistan. It makes sense studying the full range of systems that are out there and to see how that blends into our culture and how it could really benefit the country. So with a view to basically revolutionize, as I say, the legal system of Pakistan, JAMS Fellowship was a part of that. I wanted to discover more how suitable this form of dispute resolution is for Pakistan. So that's how I ended up basically filling out my application. And that's what I told them, that I'm considering different systems and I want to explore mediations. I've seen arbitrations all my life, and I want to know about this new creature now, how well it fits into our system, and that's how it happened.
The only thing, first of all, I didn't offer you tea. This is the only problem with this whole online thing is that
nobody's.
I was looking very good.
I knew you will not do it, so I am always prepared.
Because I was feeling, actually, when I was picking up that mug, I was feeling funny because it's really funny because, I mean, you want someone else and you're sitting there drinking your tea, looking for, but only one
kind
first.
Of rude, huh?
Yeah, exactly. But one first, Nudrat, that's not going to happen, which I'm very sad about, is the fact you're not going to be the first woman judge of the Supreme Court of Pakistan. That's got missed out.
I might still be the first Chief Justice.
Chief Justice. I was just going to say that. I was just going to say that.
Don't be disappointed.
Yeah. So that's where it's going to happen. The only thing is we don't want to lose you to the bench. There is so much work that has to happen otherwise. So of course you'll do that in the next many years, and then maybe.
You know, I am even now I am exploring with the Supreme Court and the High Court as to how I can help. So what I'm doing is through the center, one of the mandates of the center is to provide consultation to the government. So I am trying to advise them on a system design and on setting up perhaps a center at these various courts. Learning from the experiences of the past, what worked, what did not work for many other countries. So I am in the process of trying to basically provide whatever knowledge I have to see how the country can benefit from my knowledge.
So Nudrat, that means this is an opportunity we have where Pakistan doesn't go the way every country has gone, because this mediation through the court system hasn't helped mediation and mediators. It has helped the courts. Yes, backlog, yes, some backlog goes out. But finally, like Mr. Panchu is the pioneer in terms of setting up the first mediation center in India, in the Madras High Court. So now over these years, because I've also been speaking to him and I've been talking about all these things that I criticize that concept, because finally, if mediators don't come out and I'm still, okay, on the word profession, I will talk to you later, but if mediators in terms of their practice don't develop, where is mediation without mediators? So now he's at least come to this. I have this thing called, as announced something called Vision 2026 for mediators and mediation. So I had him as one of the mediation visionaries. So now he's saying that actually in the court system, only for people who can't afford mediators, you can provide mediators, but everything else should go out of the court system. So 16 years, he started that in 2005. 16 years of experience tells him that. So please don't do that in Pakistan. Please, we should meet him, talk to him about this, because his thought process has changed over these years. So why not look at that? Please look at that, because I am a major critic of this. Major critic. If you ever watch anything, you say, why does this guy keep repeating the same thing? Because it is so serious for me. But all these years, mediators have not been able to practice as mediators full time. All over the world. There must be some fundamental issue there. I mean, if it's a profession, if it is very good and we keep saying it's the future of dispute resolution and it works, then how come it's not working enough for everyone to be doing it full time? So those are issues which I'm discussing these days as to what I feel are the problem areas. And I feel this is one of the major problem areas. So please, please, please save mediators from around. Because I don't know, because I mean, you'll tell me your comments on the way things are, because Pakistan, India, there's no difference. It's the same thing. So this is something which is happening all the time. It's been happening in villages. It's been happening in communities and families. It's not a new thing. It's been happening. So how can we strengthen what is already happening, rather than right now, a bill has been placed into the Indian Parliament, which has been sent to the standing committee. Luckily, it's not been passed. Please have a look at that, and or whatever discussions on criticizing that has happened, don't let Pakistan go the same way, which is, I hope this doesn't get passed. I hope. But I'm just saying that because the larger vision thought process is not there, our law today, best law on mediation, I'm saying, in the world we have. And the people in India say we don't have a law on mediation. Imagine the difference between two people sitting in the same country saying that. But I'll explain that to you, what my thought process there is. But I'm saying today, in the law that we have, a person sitting in a village is so empowered that he gets a court decree sitting at home. Can it get better than that? With no intervention of the government or the judiciary. This is called empowerment, which is kind of being tinkered with. So that I have a problem with.
So I think in Pakistan, they tried the court annex ADR centers in Punjab. That experience didn't work out that well, because as soon as the champion judge was gone, the justice, he left the office. The next justice was not that pro ADR, and the whole program came to an end. But I think the advantage I have is being part of the Weinstein Fellowship. That gives you access to about 120 people who have tried to set up systems in their own countries. You get to learn from their experiences, what worked, what did not work. And it's quite useful. I mean, even today, let's say I need to have a discussion with the government or the justices at the court. I know that there is a group of at least 120 people whom I can touch base and have their views as to the mistakes they made. And you're quite right. I mean, I am benefiting from the mistakes of others. I don't intend to make the same mistakes in Pakistan.
Let's look at it as Pakistan as the model country in terms of spreading and creating the whole ecosystem around mediation. Let's look at that, because we've already made the mistake, according to me. We've gone through this 16 years of court annex mediation center mistake. Hopefully look, it's not going to change now, because once the fact, I keep saying that the judiciary and mediation are totally different concepts altogether. The court system is totally different. They have nothing to do with it. They're not even connected to each other. They're different forms of dispute resolution. But this whole colonized mindset that there is, that disputes get resolved only in courts and lawyers do it. That is a colonization mindset. It is not the way it used to happen. It's what courts weren't there, and lawyers weren't the lawyers that we have today. The people were, obviously there was something happening. Look, when I say that, I'm saying in the larger population that we are a 60% rural population. Pakistan exact statistics I don't have. We can Google it. But I'm saying if 60% of the population is there, let's look at them also. They've had some method of dispute resolution at some point of time, because of colonization in so many hundreds of years. If you, in some way, the mind has been influenced, let's decolonize. So that Vision 2026, one important area is decolonization of the mind and dispute resolution.
Yes, in fact, I think for Pakistan, it's even older than that. I mean, if we religiously, Quran essentially mandates mediations and the alternative dispute resolution. And we find instances of mediations being conducted by Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. I mean, back in those days, his companions were conducting mediations. So it's culturally acceptable. It is religiously acceptable. I think the only problem that we have in Pakistan is the problem that there is, they say that status quo. It's a big issue, because people want to keep status quo. They want to stick to what they are familiar with. And second, I think there is a problem in Pakistan that we don't have the capacity as yet. So, I mean, in terms of mediators, the trained mediators, we would be, I think, a pool of 40, 45 people. And the donor agencies, they have kept their focus on essentially training the judges. Now, those judges are already overburdened. They don't have the mediator's mindset. And we are trying to base a system based on the same judges. So, I mean, to that extent, we have made the same mistakes that other countries have made. But going forward, I do think it's great opportunity in Pakistan to set up a system, because it's still in its nascent stages. So there's some flexibility there. And then there are, of course, these people who have been trained in mediations. Many of those judges have retired. So the pool, but still, I think it's a very, very small pool of people. The capacity is a big issue. But the flexibility, as I say, because we don't have like those strict kind of rules set out as yet. We have laws in place. The law is supporting, which helps. But it's at different stages of development. Like the federal has a law now, but we need rules for a center. So the federal laws essentially say that the government can designate a center. So far in Pakistan, there was no center that could be designated. So what I'm trying to do is be ahead of the curve, have a center which has full capabilities of providing the full range of ADR, the capability of providing consultation to the government, lobbying for the right laws. So in terms of, as I say, flexibility, because it is in its early days, I think that helps.
But tell me that normally, I mean, Pakistan, India, in terms of law, kind of, I think we would be looking at the same thing. So when we got conciliation in our Arbitration and Conciliation Act, do you also have that? Mm-hmm. Conciliation is there.
Yes.
And the same thing of the ancestral model law was taken. So you have a very good, if you have the same laws that we have, then that's the best law in mediation. That's what I keep saying. So do you have that?
We do have those laws. It's just a matter of implementation now. It has to be implemented in the right way. And as I said, it's we don't have a lot of mediators and a lot of people who understand how to take it forward.
Because I know that one is that, look, the structured approach and, like you said, training and all that. That's one part of mediation which I don't see numbers in that. Even JAMS, even at JAMS, I keep saying that the total number of matters in the year is 18,000 ADR. Out of that, I was the CEO had given some interview saying it's about 50-50. So 9,000 mediation, that's all in the whole year. And suppose they say that we're the largest institution for ADR in the world.
Right.
Which I think now with these platforms which have been created, we have an online platform here. I think numbers otherwise must have become large, but in terms of physical space, maybe they might be the largest. But I'm just saying that is a very, very small area. What I've started now, that there are people in villages. I'm starting from there. There are villages who are actually doing it. They're trusted by the villagers, but you have to be careful, because on one end, when we say mediation, but there what is happening is sometimes these people are told what to do. We have this concept of the panchayat. People have been saying panchayat and mediation. According to me, that's the worst association you have, because the association people have with panchayat is panchayat's decision. Like we say panchayat ka faisla. In movies also there is panchayat ka faisla. Faisla is decision. Once you link decision with mediation, the whole concept goes haywire.
Right, that's right.
So first to educate them that, look, tell us about only those instances and those people who are doing mediation as we understand it, that there's no decision taken by the mediator. So I had one conversation on last Tuesday, with we have this Gandhi Smriti, which had organized that with some teachers, some one part of Champaran. Champaran was connected with Gandhiji's whole movement. So there. So interesting thing, first thing in that conversation, clarification of this fact, what is mediation? Okay, that we had to go through. And then people started saying that panchayat, those punches actually force their decision on people also. They thrash people also. Okay. So I said, look, this is not what we're talking about. Then in that conversation, they started giving examples of people who are actually doing mediation. So about 12, 14 teachers there must be. And four examples came out from that. So I said, I asked them to get the details of these people. I'm going to get them and the people who told me about them on a small meeting to understand what they're doing, to understand it is mediation or how they're going about it. But if that is how it is, then let's get these people into the fold. And these are trusted already. They are effective. The user experience is definitely wonderful because they're used over and over again. So I'm saying, let's start from there and create, even the law has to be such that should not get affected and actually get strengthened, that what they do actually becomes like a court decree, like we have in our conciliation. If that becomes a court decree, look at the empowerment, like I'm saying. People understand that this is, like we always keep saying, party driven, party has to decide who the mediator, everything. This is everything there. All the ingredients are there. So if that can happen and we can strengthen that, this is everywhere in the world. If we start from there, because I'm telling you what has happened is this whole institutional framework, this box of training, and I'm going to be repeating it. And if you ever watch my shows, just disregard this because you're going to hear it a number of times. I keep saying that, look, this is a skill that a person has. It's like a natural ability. And to say we will train them is you're saying you're putting a skill in them. No, they have the skill. Now, skill development can happen. You can call it skill development, but please don't call it training. You are undermining the person's ability. So that's what I've been saying. So I think if we can go with that and ground upwards, if we can work, because the ground, I mean, from the institutional part and those qualification accreditations haven't worked in most places. I mean, when I say haven't worked is, work hasn't come to mediators. There is a lot of hype around it. Yes, mediation and this training and that training. The only people who've made money are the training institutions. No one else has made money. Mediators have not made money. I had Andrew Miller. He's quite a senior mediator in the UK. He was on there's a symposium I did in August and September. There were about 100 speakers from about more than 40 countries. So Andrew Miller was also there. And in the symposium, he said, there are 18,000 accredited mediators in UK. Only 500 have work. Only 500 have work. And this is a senior mediator saying that. I will have to take his word for it. So can you imagine? So what use has that done for mediators and mediation? Because you can't take anyone and say, I will make a mediator. That's not the way it's going to happen. If that seed has to be there, and that show that I do, and Danny Weinstein was on it on Saturday, evolution of a mediator. The whole idea behind it is this: let's go through the whole story of this person whom we know now as a great mediator. Let's go through their story, and you will realize how much goes into a person coming there, being what he is. The upbringing, the history of the family, his own. I mean, of course, we have only right now, we're at his early childhood kind of thing. Things are going to come up in the next one, and you please drop in. This one you didn't come to, but next one please come to. So we are taking from there. So I mean, these are my views on how I feel we should go about it. But please, what do you think?
Yes, I think you're quite right. Being a mediator, it's not something that a 40-hour training will teach you. But yes, I do think that people need to know some basics. People do confuse arbitrations, mediations, conciliations. I was running a contest, mediation contest with JAMS, and the questions that I would get from the university and the college children was, what is the difference between arbitration and mediation? Because there's no formal training in the universities. There is very basic knowledge about what mediation is, what arbitration is. What I do feel is that there is a need to institutionalize things. So mediations or whatever, I mean, dispute resolution forum that you have eventually. The problem is that if it is not institutionalized, you don't have some kind of systems in place, then that is the problem you will have. One government would be pro-system, the other government might not be pro-ADR. Even if you were to set up systems which are empowering, let's say, the villages or the people who have been doing mediations in their own villages, no matter what you call them, unless there are systems out there, or until and unless the government accepts it as a system, the problem you will have is it's not going to be sustainable. With the change in government, you would have seen in countries like ours, the minute the government changes, the first thing they do is they undermine the projects of the previous government. So if you were to have any kind of system which is empowering, let's say, the villagers, or empowering, let's say, the judges or the lawyers, until and unless there is some form of institutionalization for that and acceptance by all the stakeholders, you will keep ending up in that problem. And I mean, one of the things I think I have struggled with is some of the countries, they've adopted the top-down approach, where you get the judges on board and you get some kind of ownership by the government. And eventually, again, because the people, the stakeholders at the bottom, they were not really accepting of the system. Those systems, I mean, they were not sustainable. Now, some of the countries took a bottom-up approach, and because they did not have the ownership of the government and the justices, again, those systems collapsed. So maybe it's for Pakistan, it has to be, they will have to meet somewhere in the middle, the top-down approach and the bottom-up approach. But empowering, yes. Capacity building, I still think there is a need to build that capacity for people to at least understand. Otherwise, the lawyers, the minute you talk to them, they will tell you, you know what, we are going to be out of work if mediation start working, and if everything goes to mediation, where is our work going to come from? And everyone has had it who has tried mediations. So I think there is a need to educate these people, all the stakeholders, including the bureaucracy, the students, the lawyers, the judges. It's not just training or giving someone accreditation, but there needs to be a basic knowledge. People need to understand that ADR is not an option. For the Islamic countries in particular, I think it's mandated. It's not an option. Litigation is maybe a secondary recourse, but litigation was never meant to be a primary recourse. And Pakistan, I think, never developed its judicial system, justice system in a way where both ADR and litigation, they could move in parallel. When they are trying for a marriage between ADR and the justice system, I think that is at least a start. Until and unless you have acceptability of the system by the judiciary, by the government, in Pakistan, it's difficult to institutionalize what's happening and acceptability in many of the areas like Peshawar, for instance, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. They have been settling most of their issues through these elderly in their villages. So it's something that's quite acceptable. It's something they've done for years. But if it's, as I say, if there is no institution and system out there, then it is really the discretion of the people. They want to keep doing it. Let's say 50 years from now, they will keep doing it. But if they feel, okay, we just want to stop doing it now, all of a sudden, they'll just stop. So there has to be some, I think, some encouragement, some mandate from the state itself in order to ensure the sustainability of the system and essentially guide the system in a particular direction.
Look, either way, I'm looking at it from what you're saying. One is, like you said, Islam has that in it as part of it. So it's easier acceptability because look, this is what it says. So one thing, at least people understand, yes, Islam also says this, and if we are doing it and it's happening around us, I think we're on the right path. So that part of it does comes. The other opportunity for that is because cases, I'm sure, I don't have statistics, so I know Indian statistics in courts, but there is major backlog. India is
2 million cases in Pakistan, 45,000 in Supreme Court.
That's it. We are talking about today almost 50 million cases pending in courts. So can you imagine? So in these kind of situations, it's easier to tell people. I've been saying, look, on one end, the judiciary's self-interest is that mediation happens in their court system so that some backlog can be cleared. Okay, that's their self-interest. They're not looking at so longer vision of developing mediators or mediation. That's not their concern. But their concern is that backlog should go. But for people, I felt instead of going through this route, I don't know whether you also amended the section to 89 of your CPC.
We did, yes.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. So we go the same way. Yeah. So that amendment happened. Now the issue is that from the way I'm looking at it, that once you have done an amendment and you've got this into the court system, taking it out, I think it will become difficult. But instead, I'm saying if the Chief Justice of Pakistan and India, they just go on television and they make an appeal to people, look, we have not been able to deliver justice because justice delayed is justice denied. And we don't think we'll be able to deliver justice for a long time. So why don't you people, and luckily you can say that look, Islam also says that mediation should be used. Why don't you people do that? Please do not come to courts because you will not get justice here. I would be happier if they did that. Instead, what they're doing is, at least in India, influencing the government. This bill that I'm saying in Parliament today, only I was speaking to someone who's quite, vocal and active about this legislation that came in. I was talking about it and I said that Chief Justice of India sets up a committee on how mediation has to be regulated in this country. It's like these allopathic doctors setting up a committee as to how Ayurveda has to be regulated. It's two different areas. It's not your area. But now he says, he was speaking to the government. Now there's a pressure on the government that look, the Chief Justice Committee has given these recommendations, so we must put them. And they're, according to me, taking it into a different track altogether. So instead of helping, they're taking it into a direction which is only for their self-interest, nothing else. So I'm just thinking, look, for me, we don't have that lobby. Lawyers have a lobby. Okay, they can shut down courts and they can do all that. Mediators don't have that. Because we're just such nice people. We don't like to go on the street with placards. But the way I look at it in the court system, we have mediation centers set up. Okay. Almost, next to nothing these mediators get. If you look at the amount and the kind of, in our CPC, I don't know whether you all the same thing, 10 years of experience is required to be a mediator in the mediation centers here, right? first of all, the seniority of a 10-year lawyer, you can
Hmm.
understand, and what's the amount they get. I don't know Pakistan what they're getting. There's one
It's
particular
nominal, yes.
yeah. So if you look at that, I'm saying, can there be more blatant discrimination than this? A
Hmm.
person, like you're saying, okay, this is a system of dispute resolution. Litigation is a system of dispute resolution. A person
Hmm.
comes to the court, go for litigation, go for mediation. You want to tell them that. And there is that whole multi-court doorhouse concept that arbitration is also part of that. So I am saying that a mediator, what they get, and
Hmm.
what a lawyer gets in that court for litigation should be the same. Then I'm saying that you are being fair. So
Hmm.
if you are giving, like in one court of ours, entire mediation, how many sessions it happens, you will get maximum of some $100. Okay.
Right.
So I'm saying for lawyers in litigation also put the same amount. In
Hmm.
for a case, you can't get more than $100.
Right.
Arbitration, arbitrator can't get more than $100. That day, Nudrat, the
Hmm.
mediation center, all the lawyers will go and shut it down. Or
Hmm.
they will be on the street, they'll shut the courts down. How
Right.
can you have such blatant discrimination happening? And these people in the mediation centers, as I understand, they
Hmm.
they're all litigation lawyers. So
Right.
they basically want to keep the judges happy, and they want to be somewhere highlighted. Yes, we are doing mediation. So that concept is happening. But
Hmm.
at the end of the day, one particular person, this Madras High Court, where the first mediation center was set up, there's a lawyer who's been practicing there for 20 years. She
Right.
says the situation is such, and she puts it across, that if you give peanuts, you'll get monkeys. She
Right.
has that kind of criticism for that mediation center.
Right.
So in
Right.
all these years, if that direction we've gone to, I
Hmm.
think there's a big issue there. So I don't know how, first of all, that discrimination is going to be taken care of. If those mediators in the mediation
Hmm.
centers don't come out on the street, then I can't. I'm still going on criticizing it. But the people are doing it. If they don't do it, what can I do? Because I'm not part of it at all. I mean, at all. I don't even touch
Yes,
it.
I think it's this phase. I would really think of it as a phase where mediators are being paid very little amount. But maybe if you look at the model of that Sophia adopted, right? They started with judges. Once there was acceptability for the system and they were able to introduce it, we are still at that stage where we are trying to bring in something that is still new for many people. It's not something everyone understands. So many of the litigants don't understand. You need to explain to them what mediation does for them. So we are in that stage. We are more like, I think at this stage, we are more like missionaries. We are trying to make improvements in our systems. And the mediators at this point, they are basically doing a social service. But as you would see, even in Sofia, for instance, eventually what they did was these people started moving towards private mediation, and eventually the role of the judges that substantially decreased. Even now, the people who are working at the court and next centers, they are still volunteers. They are not charging. So I think it's whenever you're trying to introduce something which is more or less new to many people, those things, it's a social service really. But I do think it will evolve to a point once people are able to understand the benefits. I do think there is great potential that things will move towards private arbitration and private mediations.
But Rudra,
Mm.
16 years, we've gone 16 years. You say
That's
that,
nothing in the history of a
yes,
state.
no, I'm saying at the end of 16 years.
Yeah.
Whatever, it might be a step in history. It's a step, at least in that step of 16 years. Today, in
Mm,
terms of the value of mediation, totally
mm,
devalued. Totally devalued. Okay,
mm,
we are forced to do it in the court, so that kind of a discussion happens around it.
mm.
Total devaluation of the mediators. That mediator
Right.
is not worth it. I'm not talking about India only. There's this very senior mediator in Nigeria. There was I mean, he keeps, I have the various things that I do. He has something. So this lecture series I have, he had come for that. He says, look, I go into the court. He's very senior. Huh? He's very senior. He says, I go as a mediator to that court,
Mm,
not respected. As
right.
and this lawyer comes in with that wig. They still wear the wig. I don't know. Is Pakistan still
Mm,
wearing the wig?
no.
Okay, look, okay. Those people are still, that whole colonization thing is major.
Yeah.
So they still wearing the wig. So this guy lawyer comes in with the wig and the robe kind of thing. Oh yes, like in India we say Vakil Sahab aa gaye. I don't know what Pakistan this lawyer is coming. He says in that mediation the people don't respect me. They even say that this person gets even less than what a clerk gets.
Right.
And in this society, respect comes from these kind of things. How much money is this person getting? Those kind of things. So that respect for mediators has also gone. So what are we trying to do? What are we trying to do? Are we trying to say that these people have no role to play? I think they have a much larger role because they settle disputes. There's no concept of appeal or anything done. While even if a judge in a court gives an order, it can still be appealed against. So there's no finality of it. Here there is, if that settlement goes through, there's a finality of it. You should value them so much. Instead, you've devalued them so much that look, how do you send a message out to society? Message goes out like this only, that this is a free service and these mediators work for free. The people whom you should be valuing so much, you are saying that about them. That's the comment which is going out. And this is not going to, I mean, it's like today, even in India, although there has been for so many years, it's not that it's so widespread because the number of cases, because in terms of number of mediators and everything, definitely those numbers are not available for the larger population to be maybe have these discussions. But as you go from 16 years to 60 years, you will keep spreading this. So the society will finally not value them at all. Finished. Look, for me, I'm clear. I have to promote mediators and mediation. I'm not interested in what the judiciary's incompetency. I don't have to look at that. If they're incompetent or the system is incompetent, they haven't been able to deliver. They have to put this house in order. 1908, we have the same CPC. 1908. It is in 2021, and the Chief Justice of India goes and sets up a committee to get into mediation. Oh, what have you done about the CPC? What are you doing about that? So look at you don't want to put your house in order, but touch something which has nothing to do with you. So I'm just saying, I would feel that is not the direction that countries should have gone into. They should have, look, there was a person in that symposium who's basically from Israel, but he is now living in Germany. So he was comparing the two systems. He says that same thing in Israel, because backlog and everything, it takes time. So mediation is developing there. Germany, the courts are very efficient. So mediation has not developed there. So that's where you put your house in order, give a delivery of justice fast. We don't want mediation to develop. It doesn't develop if people don't find a value in it. Let it not happen if they don't find a value in it. But don't do it at the cost of mediators and mediation. Don't do this on that. That's what I'm trying to put across. You are efficient. Let both of them work. If you are efficient and people want to go to you, let them go to you. But don't spoil the efficiency or the value of mediators and mediation on the other side, so people don't go to them. Don't do that. That step is going towards that. You say that in terms of time, 16 years is nothing, but this is one step towards the destruction of mediation and mediators. So I don't want that step to go even one more. We've already gone enough. Should not go for. And you people are not going there, haven't gone there yet. Please, don't let it happen. Don't let it happen for the sake of mediators, not for larger thing. Okay, we are trying to get the backlog. So let it happen for the next 20, 30 years for backlog we can't clear. So let's do it. What about that guy who's could have developed into a mediator in college? He was looking at mediation as what I want to do. And what do I show him? You can get $100 maybe. And that also, how many matters you can get, we don't know. You can get $100. What aspiration will he have? We have, I don't know about Pakistan, we have senior advocates here who charge, some of them charge $30,000 a hearing. What do I show this person in college? Look at this litigating lawyer. Look, the point is, everyone is not going to become that senior advocate, but at least aspirational level will be there. Finally, look, money is a factor that plays in a person's mind when they're in college. It is a factor. That Maslow's need hierarchy theory definitely applies. So what do I show him? $30,000 here or $100 for as many sessions? It's not for one session also. As many sessions that take place. So there is major mismatch in the entire thing. So I feel that we need to, if you're saying colleges don't have it today, from this year, India has introduced in the curriculum of the law graduates, the law degree, they've introduced ADR, and I think there's some focus on mediation and that. So at least that step has happened, but that step can only be about studying it. What about the aspirational level?
But I think it really depends. It's the aspirations. Someone asked me when I was leaving US, they said you could be working anywhere in US. And I think for me, it really depends on what you want, what you aspire in life. Where do you see yourself? What makes you feel content? For myself, for instance, you talk about aspirations. For myself, I think I can, at the apex of my career, if I was working in US or UK, I would be a partner at a big city law firm. Maybe have 2 or 3 mansions with swimming pools in fancy countries. But does that make me feel content? And I think that was my decision that it will not. For me, I want something more from life. And I do feel that societies, they can survive with many defects, but they cannot survive without justice. And that is where many of the developing countries are. If you have a broken justice system, I mean, money is, of course, it should be a consideration. People have to think about how they are going to sustain their families. But somehow I think money has never been an aspiration for me, at least. I think if I was able to make a change and I was able to revolutionize the legal system in Pakistan, be it parallel systems, be it integrated systems, but a system that actually delivers justice to the litigant. I think that would give me contentment, even if I had to do things for free. If I had to advise for free, I mean, I do it and I will keep doing it until and unless I feel that I can make a difference. So yes, mediators are not getting paid as much as they should. In some countries, mediators are earning well, who are working in private mediations. They are earning well. But I think for myself, I can't speak to aspirations of others, but I think for myself, money has not been a consideration. It's important. Yes, everyone likes money, but if I died a poor person, but I felt that I made my contribution to society, I think that would make me feel content.
But
So I
no,
think, yeah,
yeah,
go ahead.
no, you've seen the Maslow's need hierarchy theory, na? Have you seen that?
No, no.
Let me show you because exactly what you're saying is perfectly the way it works. This
Mm,
is what he had done, and this is, I mean, worldwide, everyone talks about this Maslow's need hierarchy theory. So this is the first level that you have to show people, na? This is where
mm,
initially that's where you are. You are somewhere here.
mm.
You are here. So that level definitely all the different factors come into play.
Right.
Right now, I'm saying when I show a person in college, this is what the person is looking at. Not this. This is a secondary stage which comes after all this has been taken care of.
And I think that is where we are wrong. We need to tell people that in order for them to be respected, it is not their salary that is something that should give them a feeling that they are worthy of respect because they are earning a good salary. That should never be a consideration for respecting someone. And if societies are respecting mediators or not respecting mediators because of how much they're earning, I think there's something wrong with the society. The
No,
system, yes, I mean, they are being paid less. Uh, I understand your point, but if a society is going to judge whether or not to respect me, for instance, based on my salary, I think the problem is with the society, not with my salary.
no, that what the point is, of course, society definitely needs to, that whole society that has been created around money and everything, the way society has gone. And I don't even blame people who are part of it because the entire ecosystem is become like that. So I want to tell one person that you become different and you look at things differently because they have pressures, they will have their pressure. That's why these things come up because definitely if those needs have been created, those needs are not there. A lot of needs are not there maybe. But
Right.
basics are basics. Basics are basic. Food is a basic that can you earn your basic food or not?
Yeah.
This is where today lawyers who've been and mediators who've been part of the court system for the last 20 years,
Mhm.
today also they say that for our livelihood, we can't depend on it, right?
Right.
So
Right.
first thing, basic house, running the house is the first concept that your person has to be going through that. They will have to go through it. I mean, you can't do whatever you can do. Finally, the person has to eat. So
Mhm.
if the person cannot get that out of that one, and first of all, in our country, first of all, that lawyer can't even go into that 10-year experience that has been put in the court system. The person can't even get into that, even if they want to do it. That's a strange concept anyway, because I keep saying that if you can defend a person on a death penalty the day you enroll in the bar, I don't know about Pakistan, you can defend a person on a criminal case with a death penalty in day one. But you can't be a mediator in the court system for the next 10 years, which this is the strangest thing. Death penalty is okay. What is the worst that can happen? The person can hang to death. But in a dispute, you will sit in a dispute they have, and you will, what will you do? You might, it's a rocket science. You might destroy them or something. I don't know what kind of concepts are going around mediation. So I think maybe that's another, I think, discussion on that. But I'm still saying that you're absolutely right. I mean, money and all cannot be a factor for looking at what you want to do. But at what point a person reaches that? Because you're at a different level now, because you've gone through everything, you've seen everything. But for a person who's in college today, their aspirational thing is to even look at this aspect that one day they can even think of being a partner in a large law firm in the US is way there. I mean, their aspiration might be much before that. They might even not looking at that, but at least they want to do something. That mediation should become that I want to be a mediator, and for that first basic need will have to go through. I want to be a mediator, but I can't do it. I know people, like I said, 20 years they've been in the court system, they love it. They go to that mediation center only because they have passion for it. But they say, I want to practice as a full-time mediator, can't do it. And look at the frustration. Once you have a mediator mindset, litigation, for me, it's always been like that. For me, litigation became difficult. I could not be part of it, because once your mindset is different and you want to help people settle in an arbitration. I'm a lawyer for a party in an arbitration. I have reached out to the other side. That why don't we settle it? That kind of thing. So it's a different mindset. So if you have that mindset, for those people, I think in the court system, I'm saying for them, that should be what they should be doing, and they should get whatever society requires them to get. If a society says that, okay, I mean, they have pressures, they have family pressures, they have a lot of pressure. I can't tell my daughter today that, no, let's live on the street because there's a larger good that I'm doing. I don't think it won't be fair on her. I might have the best of intentions in the world, but I won't be fair on her. So we have to look at those aspects also.
But I don't know about India, but for instance, in Pakistan, even with arbitrations, I do not know of any law firm which would be, let's say, just 100% arbitrations. They have to mix litigation, corporate work. So many of the firms are general practitioner firms. So I don't think it's really you're having to choose between going Hungary and being a mediator. It will take some time before people can have an exclusive mediation practice or an exclusive arbitration practice. In US, yes, there are law firms who are exclusively focusing on arbitrations, but can, for instance, an Indian or Pakistani firm exclusively focus on arbitrations? I would think no. They would still be doing corporate work and a lot of general advisory. Having mediation as a full-time career, for our countries, I think we are in very early stages. I mean, Pakistan, I think it's about 70 years old, which is still very young in the age of states, in the age of country. So by the time that we get to that stage where someone might consider being a mediator full-time, I mean, we talk about, if we are comparing ourselves with JAMS and all of these organizations are quite old, and their justice systems are quite old. So I don't think it's something that I could aspire today, having, let's say, 100% arbitration practice even. It's not something I would aspire in Pakistan. It's still going to take many years before we are at that level where all these different systems are running in sync with each other, and you could basically choose one or the other. Still, for many years, I think it's still going to be a mixture of quite a few, not an exclusive arbitration or not an exclusive mediation practice. But you never know. I mean, how fast things grow.
But you'll be very surprised, Nudrat. You say this is early. In the US in 40, 45 years also, if you find out who are those people who are only practicing at mediators, you'll be very surprised at the numbers. They're not there. You'll be, if you go out and check it out, you actually see the thing. It's not like you're thinking that 40, 45 years will make the difference. It won't make the difference because there also it's come through the court system. There is Jeff Kitchavin. Jeff Kitchavin is a very senior mediator in the US. He was also in that symposium, and he's told us the situation. He said, I was in the court system. So obviously it was like almost for free that he's working. So the mediation is controlled by lawyers. Okay, so they decide who's going to be the mediator. They do everything there. So they used to take him as the mediator out of the court system, and these people go into the court system thinking that lawyers will recognize them and then give them private work. So he's in that court system, he's getting this work, and these lawyers are coming to him. Then he said, why don't you give me some private work? So why should we? You said you want to go do it for free. That's why we'll take you here. So he moved out of that, and he's talking about it, how there's one it's on my YouTube channel also. He was addressing the Beverly Hills Bar Association, and he was saying, look, when I come here to address people, you have this lot of people who are coming there as mediators. Next year I come in, there's a different lot of people. What happens in the court system is they come there, like I said, thinking that they will be recognized, they'll get private work. Doesn't happen, disillusioned, they move out. But in a larger Ponzi scheme, people will still coming in. The next lot will come in thinking the same thing. They get disillusioned, move out. So US in 40, 45 years also, it's not that it has moved in that direction. This court system hasn't been able to let it happen there also. So, and you say, if in 40, 45 years of private mediation being there, then we should be able to look around and find out how many people have been able to take it as a full-time profession. Let's find out. It's not there. It's not there. The very senior mediators, mediator, arbitrator. So I'm just saying that it hasn't gone in the right direction, and there could be reasons that maybe people don't want it. They don't want mediation. Maybe it's not worked for them. Maybe let's look at that also. So I say that it has not worked for them because who are the people who are becoming mediators? You don't make mediators in a 40-hour factory. And luckily, Danny also agrees with me in that session. If you watch, he's also spoken about these things. So it doesn't happen. So I'm still saying, like you said, 5, 10, 20, 30 years is nothing in the life of a country. So I'm saying today, that's why I'm going back to, I'm not saying villages only, in communities, otherwise in families, let's just spread the word around. Who are those people that are trusted? And they're not so many in a family or in a community. It's not like everyone is trusted. Every elderly person is trusted. Even if you say in Peshawar, and it's not that every elderly person is going to be able to assist them. No, there are specific skills, and those people know that those skills. It's just not put down in theory. X, Y, Z skill we are looking for. No, it is an overall package. And one of those, this is part of that Vision 2026. I'm discussing that also, that heart, soul, and spirituality play a very large role in the mediation and with mediators. So that aspect of it also comes in. A person's credibility in society comes in. There's so many factors, because trust has to be there. Finally, it is someone you have to trust. So that person is already there. So let's start find out who they are. So that is what I'm doing here, that talking to people in the village. I won't be able to talk to every village. So this one conversation I had, so it's almost about, I think about 40 or 50 minutes or something, one clip we have. I'll send that to you also. So it's a 15-minute clip. That can be then circulated. This Gandhi Smriti, I'm trying to see if they can work on that, because they had organized it. So they have that reach. It is Ministry of Culture, the Government of India, but still the Gandhi name, so people don't associate very political things with it. So I feel that it will still be neutral. People will be able to look at it from a different angle, not what is being told to us, what is happening, what political angle is there. So maybe that might not be there. So that conversation will start. So these people will come out. Then how to take it forward, how to develop their skills. What I did was, let's put this all out on YouTube. You say that, okay, they need some skill development. So I said, I put out the lectures about mediation from the best in the world. So I put that out. Give them those free resources. They are the only ones who are not getting any money out of it. Even like I said, they're getting love and affection from the people in the village. Villages are not giving them anything more than that. It's like respect and everything, but it's not that they're getting money. I say, why don't you give them whatever, be a gift or whatever, but they should be the one which are valued. On the other end, a lawyer who will charge you whatever and you will keep you in the court for 20 years, there you are willing to even sell you off your land and pay them also. That's how bad situations are. But these people who are helping you resolve a dispute, you don't value them. So I'm saying for the next, I'm saying this vision 2026, I'm saying last 5 years, this is what I'm going to be doing all over the world, telling people just go out into villages and communities. Just get these people out there. And same thing applies to school also, Nudrat. Schools also, these children are there. People know who those children are, who can actually assist them to resolve the disputes. One is the person who wants to just get them together. No, don't fight. No, that's a different, that I call them peacemakers. So I have mediators collective and peacemakers collective. That's one role. That's an important role also. Getting people together is also a role. But dispute resolution and actually helping them resolve a dispute is a skill by itself. And those there are children who have it, people in the community, family, everyone are there. So just let's get them out. Let's talk to people about it. So we have names. Let's put those names out. Maybe the government puts up a website or anyone else wants to do it. Just put those names out. Just the names. You're not saying that, okay, you have to go to this person. Put their name, put a little clip of the person, the people who have benefited from it, that little clip. Okay, we went to this person for this dispute. There was this property dispute we had in the village, and with the person helped us resolve it. Put those clips. Then let people decide if they think that, oh, this ultimately the way the person talks to you, all that matters in terms of whom you want to have as a mediator. So they'll decide. They're very smart people who have a dispute. They know whom they want to trust. We can't push them into that. So then we have this database. You can have village-wise database. Okay, when you click there, so-and-so village, so-and-so pin code, whatever way, you can search the person. You use whom you want. And today with online system, you can do it online. So you have a large pool for entire Pakistan or the world. Same thing with India. Those people can be used from wherever. So once those pools, I think if the right people are there, mediation will take off. Today, according to me, people are put into it through, say, a training course. They have training courses which say, we'll make a mediator. How do you make a mediator in a 40-hour factory? It's a factory. I will churn out mediators. It doesn't work that way. There's so much more that goes into it. So it comes out who's looking at them, who is saying that, okay, I've reviewed this person. I think this person can be a mediator. Someone who in some way corresponds to your way of going about it. But this is such a wide area of practice. It's such a unique, I mean, every dispute is unique. The people who come into it are unique. One person's way of handling it will be so diametrically opposite than the other, but they're both effective. They can both be effective. So you are saying, no, I think this person is one, so get them into the world. But they're not you. You have so much more around you which comes in. So I think that maybe that's the way I'm looking at it. Let's see. We will compare notes. We'll keep comparing notes on this. But
yes, time will tell. I'm sure.
You will still giving me inputs. It's not that you're not going to give me inputs, but I'm telling you, this is my thought process today. It's a work in progress. It's a work in progress. I mean, you give your suggestions and we'll get suggestions from people. The whole idea is you have 120 people to go to. I have that many and more and more because I'm connected to obviously these people and more. So let's get everyone's thought process, and I'm very happy with that. So I think that's what we need to do. I think this is my thought. Now your thought on this. After I've told you all this, how will this work? Not work? How will we go about it?
I mean, having people from villages, people who already have let's say, the skill set. I do think, yes, the mediators should not be just from, let's say, judges, should not be just from lawyers. They need to be coming from the ranks of common people, maybe professionals, maybe people who are not even educated, but they have the right skills. So I do think these mediators need to be coming from all walks of the society. I do agree to that extent. But where I disagree, I think, is if there is no checks and balances, as in any other system, you are going to have problems. Like in Panchayat, yes, it's different, but the problems that you would have in Panchayat, for instance, or in Pakistan, we had the Mukhtara Mai case, right, which was more a decision, not a mediation, but you left it to the discretion of the villagers, and they came out with a solution which would prevent a fight between the villages. But was it a just system? Was it a just decision? Was it a just resolution? Maybe just for the villagers on both sides, but not for Muhtara Mai.
Please tell us more about this. Please tell us more about this. I don't know about this. Please.
So Muhtara Mai was it's a very notorious case where this lady was found with a boy from the other village, and the panchayat, or whatever you will call it, they basically decided that the punishment would be that the lady would be raped by all the villagers on the other side, right? And that's what happened. And it prevented, of course, a fight between both the villages and a lot of bloodshed. It was maybe just for, as I say, many people on both sides. Villagers didn't get killed to solve that dispute. But was it fair to Muhtara Mai? So when we talk about resolution, if we had a very educated society and we could trust people to be giving those resolutions which are really just, I would be comfortable with the idea. But we do have to keep in mind that in our societies, you can't just leave it unchecked, right? So I would definitely say have mediators, arbitrators, conciliators from all walks of life. But I would still think that a certain amount of regulation would still be required, because you cannot have instances like Muhtara Mai. What is important to maybe one village might not be the most just solution for everyone involved. And you cannot just leave it to the discretion of the people that they decide whatever they think is just. So if you have a system like that, we are going back to the barbaric days where the people can just decide whatever and call it law.
But that's proving my point. But Nudrat, that's
right?
proving my point. Panchayats have been given constitutional recognition, and they are doing this. And I'm telling you that little clip. I'm not even long. This is like Tuesday meeting. I will send you that clip. They are saying these panchayat members thrash people if they don't agree to their decision. So there is no concept of mediation there. There's no concept. And here I'm saying.
But even in panchayat, I think what they are trying to do is at the end they come up with the decision, yes, but they do feel that they are following the process of community mediation. They are trying to find a resolve for both the villages, say, and this is the common resolution that the villages have come up with, that okay, this would be a satisfactory solution, where resolution to the problem, where we don't have, let's say, bloodshed, we don't fight, and both those villages have agreed to that solution. It's not really the panchayat saying, okay, this is our decision, what needs to be done. This is a resolution that the villages have come up with. It is very close to having a community mediation, but as I said, it's not a decision. I think they were following what they thought is a process where both the villages are trying to come up with a solution which results in the least bloodshed. So you call it panchayat, you call it community mediations, whatever, you name it, but until and unless there is certain amount of regulation where you can ensure that justice is done. Because what we have in, for instance, Quran is that, yes, it says mediation is a preferred way, it is mandated, but it says mediation should not be such which would make lawful that is unlawful and unlawful that which is lawful, right? So there is a check in Quran on the mediator as well, that the mediator cannot come up with the solution or in consultation with the parties propose a solution which is not lawful. I mean, through a mediation process, you would not be able to make lawful what is unlawful. And I think that is what the Muhtara Mai case did. It ended up coming with a solution. They made lawful something that was unlawful. under the Islamic law, under the religion, and under the law of Pakistan.
But
So, sorry, go ahead.
don't you think that here is that because of the fact that one village has a dispute, in the sense, in terms of the dispute is not really with the other village, but is with an individual, because the action of the individual, but the individual has no role to play. The problem is you have a dispute with that person, but that person is now, I mean, we will decide for you. So it's like a totally different concept of dispute resolution. And I think that, like you said, to barbaric times or whatever it is, I mean, you are going to take over and we will decide what we want to, and we will do to you. You are going to get raped, but you have no role to play in what is happening. You don't have a voice in it also. We will do what. So that's a whole different concept of, I mean, that's like, I mean, it's another extreme. So what I'm saying is that that's why I was talking about this little meeting. I'm talking about a recent one, that on the other end, this is happening. The people are thrashed to accept the decision of the panchayat also. On the other end, there are these people who are doing this mediation, and exactly what we would consider mediation. But I'm not taking their word for it. I'm going to be talking to these people and the other people who have benefited from it, exactly how it goes on. I will not take their word for it. But from this little conversation that has come out is that, first of all, they are respected and the process is done in a manner which is actually mediation. So that is happening on the same place. It's the same place. So this panchayat exists there and pushing their decisions onto people. And on the other end, these people are also there. But what I feel is that if these people are brought forward, these are sane voices in community. And I'm not saying it's only villages, in towns also, their communities, and these sane voices are there. If these sane voices come out and these are people who are respected and valued, their role they have a larger role to play in society. Much larger role in terms of whatever. I mean, there are a lot of dialogues which have to happen in various things. There could be things that the government is doing and people are affected. Then these people can be the people in between the government and the people. We don't know what all role they can play. They can be able to explain a lot of things within the community, which otherwise could lead to maybe violent issues. So these same voices are required, but these are required in the skill that they have first, which is they can actually help resolve disputes. So let's strengthen that. Extreme aspects of this way of going about it, that a person doesn't have a voice and you can do what you want to do, that's a totally different area that has to be worked on. I mean, I'm not saying
that's the thing. I don't think it's a totally different area, because if you leave it unregulated, who draws the line really? I mean, what is acceptable, what is not acceptable? How far can your dispute resolver go? How far can that neutral go in proposing solutions? It's not, I mean, it's not completely different. Yes, mediation process. If the mediation process is being followed, good. But at the end of the day, the resolution that people are going to come up with is going to depend on their culture. It's going to depend on their value system. It's going to depend on their experiences. It's a host of things that's going to dictate the solutions, right? And that is where I feel that people cannot be left unchecked.
But look, I'll just take you through the basic definition of mediation that we have in the world today for the first time under the Singapore Convention. There is a definition, at least. We are a signatory to it, so in principle we've accepted that definition. So let's have a look at that definition. And this is where the one that you're talking about, the panchayat getting involved, why that is not mediation, because of the very basic aspect of it. This is what the definition says. This is what the definition says. A very broad manner is a process irrespective of the expression used or the basis upon which the process is carried out. So this is where the point is. And this is where the issue is. The person should not have the authority to impose a decision, and this is to impose a solution. This is where
I'm talking about the party proposed solutions, right? The party proposed solutions. The parties are going to come up with solutions which are dictated by, as I say, their value system, their experiences, right? And in some cases, maybe their level of education. So those solutions that are coming maybe from the parties, right? Even those solutions, the mediator is not enforcing them. I agree, but the mediator will have to serve as a check and a balance to see whether or not they are proposing something which, as I said, is making lawful that which is unlawful, or unlawful that is lawful. The parties can come to a solution, yes. That is where I think in Pakistan at least, there is that need for having certain checks and balances. Follow the mediation process. You let the parties come up with solutions. So it's a completely party dictated process, party dictated solutions, but still a mediator would have to be a person with such integrity and value system that he can ensure that he's not making lawful what is unlawful, or unlawful what is lawful.
No, but I think that's what I'm saying, that a mediator in this in the same situation, in this village situation, panchayat having the authority to impose a decision, impose a solution exists, and these people who are mediators, who are not at all, they're not at all the people who can actually say, okay, now you have to do this. They don't have that authority to impose a solution. So these two, they're two parallel areas. In this panchayat thing, we have actually given them, I'm telling you that this is the way these people are talking about it. The panchayat is behaving in that manner. We have to, what needs to be done is to actually look at them, how that, and that is when you say checks and balances, the idea was that the village is going to elect these people, and because they've elected them, they will do best for them and everything. But in the same village, if people are thrashed to do something which the panchayat wants them to do, and they might not want to do it, I don't know, with that, those checks and balances, where have they worked? We put a law around it, we've done everything around it. So where is that check and balance? I mean, and I'm not even touching that area, because I'm saying there are issues there, and we have the constitutional mandate given to them. And now those checks and balances, which someone thought sitting in some room somewhere, that look, we are putting this together, and yes, this seems to be a good solution where there is self-governance of the villages. Damn good system. How that system is being misused, which now you put a law in it to amend law and all. When will that happen? Here on the other end, there is no law required, because people are trusting them, and they don't have the authority to impose a solution. So where is the issue? In that kind of this situation with this woman, the parties, who are the parties, first of all, in the dispute? The woman and someone else has a solution, but they have a dispute, but the woman is not a party. So that's not even, I mean, for in any kind of dispute resolution, first of all, we have to see who the parties are, and the relevant party is not a party. That's the best part about it. So
She
that's not
became
really,
more of a victim, but
yeah,
the parties essentially became the villages because
exactly.
they wanted to fight each other. So they become the parties, and she becomes the victim. So, I think every culture, it's going to be different. In what I found from my experience, at least, was that still in Pakistan, the parties, even though we know the mediator is not making the decision, but at a point, the parties do expect the mediator to at least say what is wrong and what's right. So they are wanting that kind of a decision from the mediator, right? And judges, I think, once let's say a retired judge is a mediator, the parties are expecting the judge to at least say how the decision would have come out in a court of law, for instance, right? It's a psychological thing. The parties still are listening to these people, what they have to say, who have a position of, let's say, respect in the village. But they do expect these people at the end of the day to say whether or not they are right or wrong. In the Western system, yes, I mean, that's what JAMS will tell you. That's what the Western system will tell you. As a mediator, you don't say what is right or wrong. You don't propose the solutions. Does that actually work in India and Pakistan? I'm not
Nudrat,
that sure.
you'll be very surprised. In JAMS, I had Prachi Mehta from India, who's a JAMS fellow.
Yeah.
You listen to her. She's saying in JAMS this happens. The people who go to these, who have these judges as mediators,
Yes,
want
yes.
the judge to tell them what to
They
do.
want to tell them. Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
And they do that. They do that because this comes from there. So it's happening at that level. All the checks and balances, everything you do, and you create an institution, and you are saying all Western models of mediation, and it's happening there. This is what the basic nature of people, if they're asking someone for a certain, what you think, please suggest a solution. But there's nothing wrong with it. With words of what is the whole
but
concept?
that's not technically mediation, is it?
No,
You have the mediator telling you who's right and who's wrong.
no. It's the thing. I think it's total mediation when person is suggesting a solution. And I'm saying even if the parties don't even ask for it, if a mediator is suggesting a solution and cannot impose that solution on you, and you have a choice whether you want to take that solution or not, that is why I showed you this definition. That look, this is today very nicely put out. That again, I'll show it to you. I will go through it again.
No, I have seen it. But that's what I'm telling you, that in practice, at least you need to make sure the guy that is telling you that this is what he thinks is right has the right value system.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
You don't want someone, anyone from the society who's respected for his power, for whatever reasons. But this person himself there has to be a check and balance to make sure that this person who's eventually telling the parties that this is what he thinks is right and this is wrong, that person needs to have a very robust value system. And that is where I think the check and balance is important.
No, that's what we'll do is we won't look, like I said, we won't accept what these guys are telling us what's happening in the village. Let's get these people who are doing it. Let's have a conversation with them, and you also be part of that conversation. And we'll ask them these questions, the people who are actually using them, that how does it really work? I mean, is it something that they tell you what is right, what is wrong, or they just have a discussion with you and you are the ones who reach that right and wrong solution, or the right and wrong path, you go down that path? How does it work? Let's ask them. So because I tell you, it's important is because what is really happening there, the people who are actually using these people, I think we need a feedback from them. Very important. And the same thing you do in Pakistan also. If there's one village, I'm not saying only village, any community, anywhere where there are, because these people are already there and they are going to be there because they had this one report that came out, Government of India and some organizations got together. They made a ODR handbook kind of thing. So one of the statistics in that was that only 3% to 25% matters go into court out of the disputes. So I keep saying that only if 3% go, that means only 18 million matters go into court in India every year. So, and the problem is that only 18 million go out. So that backlog stays. That's a different issue. But if 18 million go, that means if it's 3%, I mean, we have only 450, 500 million matters out there which are not going to court. And a lot of them might be simmering there because the solution for them, court might not be an option. There could be various factors. I mean, they could not afford it or whatever other reasons there are. So that means they're out there. So if we are saying we have to help people find a solution to these disputes, the numbers are very large. So any other system where you want to even say, I don't like the word, but let's say trained mediators. Who is going to train these numbers? Who are those people? Are they accredited? Or who's saying that, yes, you can train? Because that's more dangerous. Because someone who comes in as a trainer has to have, person has to have the right value system. That has to be, I mean, that's the most, it's a teacher. It's like a deep teacher. You can't put anyone as a teacher. You have to have something. So who's going to decide for who is going to be the teacher in these, and where are you going to get these numbers from? So because, I mean, today we had some Supreme Court judge said that the number of lawyers that come out of the law schools, only 25% are fit to practice. So that 5 years has not, teachers are there, professors are there, everything is there, that output is that bad, then how are we expecting that in another field, suddenly that we'll have such nice people who will teach them and they will put the right thing in place? And this is something I keep saying, that there is, like I said, heart, soul, and spirituality, various other things that work around a mediator and a mediation. Who's going to put all this into some? You don't put it into someone. So I'm looking at it a totally different area. But only thing that happened, what has happened, Nudrat, is that your JAMS experience has gone on the back seat, and you have to, which was expected, because definitely there are these conversations are, of course, relevant and very relevant. But tell us a little more about your US experience and whom all you worked with and experience and that.
Yeah. So I think with JAMS, what was fascinating was that they let you design your own program according to your own needs. And I think that was absolutely fantastic, because all of us had different needs, of course, depending on where our countries were. in terms of development of ADR. So they would let us choose the courses that we wanted to take. We were absolutely free, whatever we want to choose, whatever we thought helps our trajectory, things that we wanted to do in our respective countries. And I think it was a well-designed design course, not a course, but it was a well-designed interaction. I think the most fascinating thing was meeting all these people from these different countries, having very, very different experiences. What they did right, what they did wrong, what has worked for their countries. It was absolutely fascinating. I mean, years of research wouldn't give you as much knowledge as we, I think, got in about 2 weeks that we were together. We talked about system designs, how things have progressed in US. We talked about, I mean, key elements of mediation. And we interacted with people who have done it for years at end. They've got like 30, 40 years experience, if not more. We did get an opportunity to shadow. We sat in the mediations with all the seasoned mediators and see how it's actually done. Many of us had considerable experience in mediations. But when I went for the fellowship, I mean, for me, it was the first time I saw how mediations actually worked and the skill set that you really need. So I think that was absolutely fantastic. It was, I think it took about, it was really how much you could manage. Some of us did a lot of shadowing, but some of us, I think we were focused more on courses, getting more knowledge and know-how. But I think it was a good blend of seeing the actual thing in play and seeing the theory. So all in all, I think it was a wonderful experience. They've designed it quite intelligently.
But Nudrat, this is a very general overview you've given. Now, specific individuals, how was interaction with Danny, your other people in the cohort, specifics now, names. Like, look, Harbey has been on the Mediator Experiences. So it was a very interesting session. You should watch that also. But
okay.
Yes,
he was fantastic. I think we ended up, I mean, we made friendships. It was especially Fidana, she had a lot of experience. Then there was Anwar from Uzbekistan. He had a lot of experience. There was Archer, I think. Then in the group, we had these three, and then it was me and...
let me show you I'll show you the entire list. I'll show you the entire list. Remember. Yeah, this is the list.
Yep. So I'm first talking about the friends that I made.
Okay.
So wherever we went, I don't know what happened. We were the most non-serious group. They were the most experienced, but everyone thought we were jokers. We just couldn't stop laughing. So in the class, there were many times that the administrators would have to tell us that we need to silence our laughter, but we just couldn't stop laughing. It was fun.
This was like going back to college, nah? So it's like those kind of days, that kind of thing.
It's funny that Ellen used to say to us that we were exchanging notes like teenagers. So I was sitting around the table, we would be exchanging notes, sending it around, and
you have to tell us what were in those notes. What was shared?
That is absolutely confidential.
That's the interesting part. That is what we need.
That is absolutely confidential.
That's the masala that we need, no? That without that masala, what is
over my dead body. So George,
now that interest, okay,
yeah. So George, I think, was he had the most experience amongst us, and then there was Angus. She was more interested in investment arbitrations. So he had the same field that I had. So we had interesting conversations. He was very passionate about designing a system for the government and looking at investor-state arbitrations and their suitability for Kosovo. Anistas, again, we made good friends. He was a remarkable person. And he did a lot of work in Rwanda. It was amazing. He told us stories about the conflicts in Rwanda, how it had affected him, his family, and it was amazing. I mean, someone who had gone through so much, he would still be an advocate for peaceful resolution. So he was inspiring, absolutely inspiring. And Mehnaz, he was from Bangladesh. She was in the judiciary. Again, a remarkable lady, very ambitious, and we had fun conversations. But I think for me, it was I had all these seasoned professionals surrounding me with lots and lots of mediation experiences. But somehow, I don't know how we ended up doing it, but we ended up in that college student mindset, and it was lots of fun. I mean, having those teenager conversations and just acting foolish.
It was required also. It is required. You've been working so hard. Now you need a little break, and when you get into that, that's also because in the professional setup that you're supposed to be a certain kind of person, but now
That's
you've
right.
gone out of that, and you are in a more friendlier and different. It's a different concept altogether. I think that's been a good break.
Yes,
That means.
yes, it was fun.
But
I
only
mean,
thing, yeah, please.
No, you go ahead.
No. You were saying something.
I was going to say it was definitely a good break. We ended up going to the Napa Valley, and it was a good bonding time. Lots of conversations about their countries, their experiences, their families. So I think it was good bonding.
I think mistake that I've made is, which what I should do is I should ask you people to share photographs of those times. I think
Uh-huh.
that I haven't done. That I should have told you earlier. It would be nice to see that, all
Yeah.
that bonding that is happening. So
Yes, I think I wouldn't be able to find a photograph in which we are not laughing ourselves to tears. So I don't think I have any decent photographs.
those are the ones we want to see. So this is also that as that side of Nudrat also people have to see. Look, you must be in the profession in Pakistan. Nudrat is looked at a different level. Now they should see this as. But Danny, I don't know, you haven't seen that session, Saturday session. Have you seen that? Please try and see that. Yeah,
Okay.
have a look at it. He's with some pictures of his that he had shared, which I put up there. Interesting, very interesting. But I won't tell you about it. You will have to watch it and see.
Okay, I will do.
But only thing, Nudrat, what has happened is that Fidana is really busy. I asked her, she said, I am really busy. So please
Yes.
convince her. Please convince her. Tell her, please, you should share this for other people, inspire other people, aspiring JAMS fellows or whatever. Please try and convince her, because I haven't been
Okay.
able to do so. I haven't been able to do so. Even in the symposium, she could not come because she was busy. She's a little too busy.
Okay. So she doesn't say no to me, and I have to be very selective of what I ask of her, knowing that you wouldn't say no.
So now I'll get to know whether you think this is a good idea or not. Now I'll get to know whether you can convince her or not.
We'll see.
Look, the thing is that the whole idea is that, first of all, I was telling Danny also that he's put together such wonderful people that in a way he's done my work for me, because that's what I'm trying to do. Identify these wonderful people around the world and get them on for conversations so people know that, look, they have to have a certain thing about mediators. It has to be, like I said, pushed properly, that the right people are out there, which is what I was telling him, that the people that you've put out are ambassadors of mediation. So it's very important who those people are, because in their countries, I mean, if you're going out and doing a lot of work, and Weinstein Foundation is going to be doing a lot of work with you people, so the right people have to be there. So in a way, he's done that part, and that is what I feel is the most important part today, because there is no face to mediators as mediators. Okay, there might be people that are also doing mediation kind of thing, but we should put across these are mediators, and that like I said, they have to be valued, and they're wonderful people, and they're different, they're special, all those things. And I'm telling you, this is what you will notice when we get these people out. Like I said, I am saying village, I'm saying families also. Think of someone in your family. Supposing there is a dispute in your family, whom would everyone want to go to help you resolve? Think of someone.
That would be me.
Perfect. So now
I
you
don't
see
know where
yourself.
I would go, but
You can see yourself. Look at your value system that you've brought and everything. So, sir, not everyone has that. So I'm saying that this is the prime example. You've just given that example. So just think of it that way, that if they won't go to everyone else, it just doesn't happen. They know they can come to you because you'll be fair, you'll be objective, you'll be impartial, you have a certain value system that you come from. All those are a mix that it is, they've studied it over years. It's not today that, okay, because Nudrat is that senior a lawyer and she's gone to the US and come back and she's doing this, so we are going to her. No, it's because of the person that they have seen over the years. Because look, a dispute is a very personal thing, very personal thing. You don't go out and share these things with just everyone. Okay, the court system, you're forced to do it. That's a different concept altogether. But this kind of a dispute resolution, that you really have to be that, we have to, I mean, that person has to be so special to go to that person. And so to say that people will take anyone as a mediator, it won't happen. They will study the person. They will, and best part is they're not stuck in it. They can walk out at any point of time. So I think, I don't know, I'm looking at it differently maybe. So, but you are seeming that you want to leave. As I can see, I can see you're looking at time and everything. So
I think we have had a meaningful discussion, and it was wonderful having that conversation with you, sharing my experiences with the viewers as well. But I do think we should let the listeners go as well.
My shows have gone on. One particular episode of Evolution of a Mediator went on for 4 hours without a break.
Oh, wow.
Okay, so that end, people have seen a different level altogether. So that's okay.
Okay.
Look, the people, look, these conversations, like you just said, it's such an interesting conversation that it is going on because it is spontaneous. We haven't rehearsed it or scripted it or anything. We didn't even know each other before you came into this room. I think that's what makes it interesting.
Yeah.
I think that. So, but any final wrapping up comments? Any concluding remarks?
I would just say that I do think mediations are critical, and societies need them. It gives a human element to the disputes, and I've not yet found any other system or dispute resolution mechanism that humanizes the dispute. So I definitely think, it's a much more healthier way of resolving disputes. So I would encourage, the young people especially, to learn more about mediation and have, I think, more healthier dispute resolution systems in their countries.
Yeah. And you were speaking about time and how much time we've taken. Danny told me we'll keep it for about 1.5 hours. Okay, right. whatever you're comfortable with. We went on for 2.5 hours.
Oh, wow.
So time is not a factor at all here. We just go on as much as long as you're comfortable, you're having a conversation, go on. And this conversation hasn't ended. This is just right the now.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll have more of these, and this whole concept that I have on the village and community people coming out, I will work on this because look, culturally there's no difference. So we will see the same thing on both sides. So let's see how we can work it out. I'm not saying that what I'm saying is the best solution or whatever, but at least I'm putting something out there. And then, but how much? You have 2 minutes more or not? Do you have 2 minutes?
I do, yes.
Okay, let me just show you. I always do that. I show people what January, I call it edutainment. So it's education, it's entertainment, it's edutainment. That's what I say. So let me show you what this January had. Before I always start this whole presentation with my symposium. This was for me, this was Sukhsinramjit Singh gave the closing address, and Ken Cloak gave the opening address, and between those two there are 95 more speakers in between. So it was very interesting. And you're getting thoughts from all over, like you said, that 120 people that you are connected with, you've got whatever their viewpoint on, of course on ADR, but for here is only mediation. So that I think was important, I think. And of course they then obviously connected with each other. So they would work with each other. But the way I'm structuring the whole thing, I'm not institutionalizing it. I just, people work together, whatever they do. I don't want to get into, I'm working under some people work under some Mediator Vikram umbrella and I'm putting things together. No, I just put these people out, let whatever comes out from that between themselves. So that was, I think, was a very interesting thing. This was the Woodstock poster that on that Rafael Lobo in Mexico, he designed this on that, which was interesting.
Right. Yes.
This is what I've put out, this Vision 2026 for the evolution of mediators and mediation. So as part of this, I will ask you to come in, because I have put out certain pointers on my website. I'll take you through that as whatever. So out of that, if you think that these we need to, because that's also a work in progress. So what you think in terms of 2026. So I will have one session you'll have to record on your Vision 2026. Whenever you put your thoughts together on that. We can do it whenever you want, but we have to look at least 5 years. Look, like you said, 5 years is nothing. Nothing.
Yeah, and we definitely have to do it before 2026.
This is going to happen in February or March. Okay, it's not. But because I'm telling you, 5 years might be nothing. I want to put a 2031 also, but I said let's start with 2026, because obviously let's put one thing out there, and then then I do various kinds of shows. This is called Mediator Lifestyle, where mediators will give a glimpse into their lifestyle. Because so Simranjit Singh in the closing address said, let's make mediation cool. So I said, let's put mediators out in different aspects of mediators. So this was the first episode which happened.
Right.
This was 2nd January. Then Gabriela, I don't know whether you know Gabriela. I'm sure you know her. She's also a fellow from Brazil.
Yes, I think I know her by name, but I haven't met her.
Okay, so she's a very interesting person. So if you have time, just those conversations, I can send you the link, but I think what you need to do is go to my, first you go to my website, mediatorvikram.com. There is a YouTube channel link there. Please subscribe to the channel. Please tell people about it. Let's spread the word, because that's the only thing that's not happening. People are not sharing. That's the only thing. This conversation is very interesting. Orith is in Israel. So this is this show is called In Conversation with Beautiful Mind. The idea is people with the mediator mindset. Just a conversation like what we just had. Just a conversation. Where it's going to go, we don't know. Just let it flow. So these are the, because I said, let's put out mediators and that people should know they're special. Then I started this lecture series. Ken Cloak was on the first episode of Evolution of a Mediator, and he made this statement there.
Okay.
That just by attending a lecture about mediation, he knew his life had fundamentally changed. Now, there are people in this world who would never be exposed to that lecture about mediation. Where are they going to get a lecture? So I said, let's record with people from the best in the world. Let them record the lectures. And it's going to be on YouTube. Anyone can watch it. And we'll look, right now, there have been 2 in Spanish. But I'm saying various languages. We'll put it in various languages just to inspire people. That's it. We are not teaching them about mediation. I don't want to teach them really about mediation that much. But just to say, okay, this is concept which, and how they lecturer wants to put it out is up to them. I'm not really wanting to tell them. So as part of that, Patricio, I don't know you know Patricio. He's also a fellow from Chile.
Yes, haven't met him, but I know him by name. Yes.
Okay, so he was also on the Mediator Experiences. But this lecture was interesting. You must watch that because you're looking at things in Pakistan in terms of putting systems in place. So he was talking about remuneration for mediators and what are the aspects that go into it. So have a look at that. It's an interesting lecture because this was something that I haven't seen people discussing really. He's gone into the economy of the country and how much people look at what does the state has to do in terms of social activities and whether how state looks at things in terms of mediators. So that was interesting. Gabriela came in part 2 also. We had a very interesting conversation. She's now in February also. She's coming in. This is what happened on a Saturday. Okay. This was interesting. Obviously, very interesting. You must watch that.
Will do.
He's also a fellow, of course. This is Pranjal. He's doing interesting things in India. They set up a platform. I don't know whether you know about this. There's something called Sama. They've set up. So
Sama, yes. I think I'm on their panel.
Okay, so they're doing interesting work with the court system and how the numbers of cases that they're putting out there. So they have a huge number of cases. So that's a very good move that these
initiative. Yes.
This one I'm sure you recognize somewhere.
I do. Yes.
So this is look. This is up till today. Now what is going to come?
Okay.
This is another lecture. This is from South Africa.
Okay.
Then this lecture, Michael Lang. I don't know whether you know Michael Lang. He's a very
And
senior mediator in the US, a very wonderful
mm,
person. I mean, you must watch
okay.
his. He's been on Evolution of a Mediator also and Symposium also. Then he's majorly into reflective practice. So
Okay.
he has these reflective practice groups in various parts of
Mhm.
the world. So he had never done whatever the meetings that they have, and they talk about their experiences, and they
Mm,
share what in a certain mediation. They never done
mm,
it on a live, in the sense they never recorded it also. So first
okay.
time, there's another series which I do, which is with him only, which basically started. It's called Mediator Reflects. So
Okay.
that was the first time he got some members of his practice group from Ireland, and
Uh-huh.
they did what they do in a reflective practice group. So that was
Right.
interesting. So that's another series. That's not a lecture. That's a Mediator Reflects that happened.
Mhm.
So that's an interesting thing which I felt was okay. She's coming in for her vision for 2026. So this is what you'll be doing whenever you
Okay.
give me time. Bernie Mayer, also very senior mediator in
Mhm.
Canada. So the
Mm,
concept of evolution mediator I told you is that every little thing, be it
mm,
the upbringing that you have, what I'm saying, what the thought process of your father, mother, grandparents, all that you bring in. So
mm.
everything is important. So we're going really slowly. So he was
Right.
also very surprised at the questions that you're asking me. No, in my life, no one has asked me those questions. We've gone through one episode, and right
Mm.
now we are still in his mother growing up. He hasn't even come into the world up till now.
Oh,
So
wow.
with Danny also, same thing. So
Mm,
slowly, we're going really slowly. We haven't, I mean, he
mm.
thought maybe it's just going to be rushed up. No, it's going to be really slow. Various things of his life. So is you watch that and give me your feedback on that.
Okay.
Okay, so
Will
this is
do.
I do talking books. I don't read books. So I said, let's talk books because some of us don't read them. So
Mm.
Ken Cloak has written these two books. So
Okay.
that we'll be discussing these two books, and I also got him to give a special Vikram discount. I keep telling people,
Okay.
look, I don't get anything out of it. It's not like just to help people put it out. So that comes in. This
Mm.
is that another chat in Conversation with Beautiful Mind, and
Mm.
this on the last day of the month. Every month, last
Okay.
day, celebrating the birthdays of mediators in that month. So
Okay.
this is what a month looks like.
Wow, that's a lot of work.
Yes.
Excellent.
But we look a bit like the kind of wonderful conversation that we have. This does obviously don't seem like work. This is like, I mean, and at the end of it, if mediation gets promoted, what
Mm.
better? What better?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Indeed.
So thank you very much, Nudrat. It was
Thank you.
wonderful talking to you, and these
Likewise.
conversations are going to continue, and whatever we can do to think of ways to promote mediation and mediators and all that, we'll have those discussions. Yeah.
Thank you so much.